Hello, I'm Jim Roberts. I'm host of Senior Living in Alexandria. This is a monthly program that's put on for Senior Services of Alexandria. Our intent is to provide useful information not only to seniors, but family, friends, caregivers, service providers, the general community, anybody that has an interest in what things might be interesting or useful or helpful to our senior community and thereby help our community. We've got a topic today that I think I personally knew little about until we were getting set up for this interview, and that is fall prevention. I kind of took for granted that that was something that happened periodically and wasn't a major issue, but I've come to learn that in fact it is, and we've got an expert today that will be talking to us about this. Our guest today is Sarah Papa. She is the coordinator of the Northern Virginia Fall Prevention Alliance and also a visiting professor at Marymount University. So she's going to tell us a little bit about the nature of the problem and some of the programs that Marymount and the Alliance have begun putting together. This is a preface to a fall speakers series that we'll have November 2nd. There will be more information about that later on in the interview, but another opportunity to learn more about this important issue for seniors. So let me, without further delay, talk to Sarah. And Sarah, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Sure. My background is primarily in public health. I've been in public health for about 18 years. Have a couple of degrees in health education and promotion and exercise physiology. And so back in Ohio, I've been in the Northern Virginia area for about 5 years, but I've worked in local health departments and have managed local, regional, and statewide public health initiatives.
How'd you evolve to fall prevention?
Well, it was just a program that I learned that Marymount was doing, and I expressed some interest, and they were looking for someone very part-time back at last fall, looking for someone part-time to come in and help them manage the Alliance, and so it was just a good fit for me at the time, and I've really enjoyed it since I've joined.
Now, is the Alliance a part of Marymount, or what's the organizational relationship?
Yeah, the Alliance is really a community-based health coalition, and Marymount University is one of its founding partners.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, Marymount received a grant to start doing some evidence-based falls prevention work, and so the Alliance has sort of grown out of that work.
What's the history? What did it track from? You mentioned Marymount started it, and then others joined in. Is that the progression?
Right. Marymount and partnered with the Goodwin House to originally write the grant, and then after they received the grant, they started implementing some of these programs. The Alliance just sort of, as I said, sort of evolved out of that work, and it's really the Community Health Coalition, community-based, where we're reaching out to other partners, community partners, healthcare partners, other folks who reach senior adults, that we can, work together and get this information shared.
The Alliance, is that Alexandria and Arlington both, or are there other communities?
It's all of Northern Virginia.
All of Northern Virginia.
Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun.
Okay. What are some of the other participants, as examples?
Some of our other partners, we partner with all of the area agencies on aging.
Okay.
All of the local county health departments. We partnered with Senior Services of Alexandria, of course. Lots of different groups, just home health care agencies, county parks and recreation departments, adult day health centers.
Is it formally organized, so you've got regular membership and regular meetings, or how do you work? Is it less formal? It
is a pretty formal organization. We have a steering committee, and we have about 40 to 50 people who have said, yes, I want to be a member of the steering committee and participate in regular meetings. Then we have a larger distribution list of folks who we just like to make sure that are aware of what's going on, things that we're doing, we alert them to our meetings and whatnot.
If you had to capture a brief summary, your elevator, how would you characterize what the Alliance purpose is? Why is it there?
We're really trying to spread information about the importance of falls prevention. We're trying to let people know about evidence-based falls prevention programs that are available in the area, and to really just make seniors and caregivers aware of how to prevent falls.
You've raised two things there that we need to drill down on. Tell me about, what are the issues with fall prevention? Tell them what we talked about before, how this is a big problem.
It is a big problem. Depending on what the data source that you look at, it's between 1 and 2 seniors fall every year that are over the age of 65. and it adds up to over $30 billion a year in healthcare costs. It's the
30 million?
billion with a
Billion,
B.
billion,
That's billion
okay.
with a B.
That's all.
And it's a huge problem. It's about one. I think I read earlier, one out of every 11 seconds, a senior enters the ER for a fall-related injury.
Really? Okay.
It is the number one, leading cause of injury, fatal and non-fatal injury for older Americans.
Okay.
So it's a big problem.
Does it change with age?
Well, the number one risk factor for fall is age.
Okay.
So increasing age does increase your risk of fall.
Why is that? Why I personally have some ideas having aged.
Sure.
But what is it about aging that causes?
It's really the physiological changes that occur in the body as we get older. We lose strength, we lose muscle mass, our gait changes, our balance changes. Sometimes we're taking medication that might alter our sense of balance. So you kind of add all those things together and it increases your risk of falling.
So, and higher rates of injury, higher rates of, are there differences between men and women on this?
Women tend to fall more often than men.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we also know that most falls happen in the home and most of those happen in the bathroom.
Okay.
So.
And so your goal as of the Alliance is to inform these other partners and work toward finding some solutions to reach the senior population.
Sure. The biggest goal is really to spread the awareness and the education about falls prevention. Obviously, we want seniors to have a higher quality of life, and so we want that information to get to the people that it needs to get to.
Yeah, when I did the limited look that I did, I was startled at the numbers of something like 9,500 deaths a year, and a quarter of those hip injuries were particularly prominent. I think I read this jibe with what you know. Age 65 to 69, 1 out of 200 injuries would be hip injuries. At age 85. 1 out of 10.
Goes up.
I mean, there's this massive numbers of injuries, and I think they're little noted. So tell me how Marymount and then the Alliance got into this.
Well, it was really, a community need. They really, after talking with some community members, sort of a joint effort between the health education group, the Health and Human Performance Department, and the Physical Therapy Department at Marymount, kind of got together and realized that there was a need in the community, that there was a gap in services surrounding falls prevention. And so they really, reached out to a few partners, including Goodwin House, and decided to write for that grant.
Okay. We're going to run out of time for this segment. We've got to cut away to our community news, and I believe we've got another delightful cooking session this month, but we'll come back and we'll talk about what some of the programs and initiatives and how the Alliance works. So stay tuned.
Great.
All right, we'll be right back. Well, we're back at one of our favorite parts of these episodes, and once again, I'm here with Madison Reeder, a world-famous dietitian and an original author, not just of books and novels, but of creative, healthy food. Madison, welcome back. It's great to see you. What are we going to do this month? I see an array of things. You've got equipment, you've got food, so forth. What are we looking forward to?
So, because we're fully into fall now, and it's that time of year where the holidays are kind of creeping up, I wanted to make a dish that was a little bit different, but still incorporated those fall flavors that we know and love.
Okay.
So what we're going to make is a butternut squash sauce that you can put over a pasta. So something a little bit different. A lot of times I think for the holidays, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, we're using a lot of pumpkin, but butternut squash is still in season right now. It still has that bright fall color, so I wanted to do something a little bit different for us today.
Okay. So we're in the season of pumpkins and squash and
fall.
Okay, butternut squash, and looks like you've got some ingredients there. What do you have?
All right, so I'll talk you through this. So butternut squash is actually a fruit. You can find it in the produce section of your grocery store, and it's a kind of like an off-white gourd, and on the inside it's that bright orange color.
Okay.
So that's really intimidating to a lot of people, which is why people stray away from the butternut squash, because how do I cut it? How do I clean it? How do I choose one? So another option for those of us out there is you can find at the store peeled and cut butternut squash. It's very easy to find this time of year. The price is very, very fair. So I use 2 containers of this, making about 3 to 4 cups of butternut squash.
Shortcut number 1.
Yes, exactly. We need something easy, especially around the holidays.
Yep.
So I took in a saucepan, I took a little bit of olive oil and some garlic, heated that up, made sure it was nice and fragrant, and added in some chopped red onion, which again, you could buy at the grocery store already chopped up if you'd like. But I made sure I cooked those until they became translucent. And then I added my butternut squash, some sage, some fresh sage, and then I added some chicken stock to give it some flavor.
And that's what's in here.
Yep, that's what's in here. Yep.
Okay.
Now I cooked that until it was fork tender, so I'll show you exactly what I mean. To know if it's done, kind of keep an eye on it while you're cooking, but if you can poke a fork right through it just like that, that's how you know it's ready to go. If you can't quite get the fork all the way through, then it needs a little bit more time yet.
Okay.
So very simple, just cook it until it's just about done like this, and keep all the liquid with it. That's really important. Don't get the urge to drain that chicken stock out of here. We want to hang on to that.
If you have a little leftover olive oil from cooking it, that's okay too?
Yep, that's perfectly
fine. Put it all in there?
Yep, we're going to keep it all in a container.
So is that the finished product?
No, not
that
quite.
That looks delicious in itself.
It does. You could eat that
There's
just
more?
as it is. No, of course. You know
you have your machine.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to scoop this into our food processor here as carefully as we can.
Hold that for you.
Thank you. And another thing I want to point out is there's sage in here. You can see the leaves. Now, a lot of times we don't want to eat those sage leaves, but since we're going to be grinding them up really finely, that's perfectly okay. You don't have to fish them out of this mixture. And you want it really, if you can, to be fresh sage. That's really going to make this flavor stand out.
Fresh sage would be in your grocery store?
Yep, you can actually find it in the produce section. Okay. It'll be with some of the cold produce, either pre-packaged or it'll be the bunches of it will be there as well.
All right.
So we'll fill this up, give it a little bit more liquid in there.
Yeah.
We'll do.
Boy, this really smells good. I don't know what spice that is, but it's good.
That's that sage and the garlic mixing together.
All right, sage and garlic. Yes. And you put it on your machine.
Yep, we're going to put it on my food processor here.
Food processor.
Make sure we put the lid on nice and tight.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn it on and puree it for about a minute, maybe a little bit less depending on the power of your food processor, but until it's well blended. All right?
All right. So all right. Butternut squash.
Yeah, it does have like 3 gears, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know it. All on its own.
Speeds up all on its own. So I'll show you what it looks like so far. We're going to give it one more puree here.
Okay.
Doesn't that look nice?
Yeah, no, it's just gorgeous. It's
got a nice fall texture, and you can really smell it there too.
I can't wait to dive in. Well,
do you
not
know
literally.
What, from when we've spoken before, what vitamins and minerals are in our orange fruits or vegetables?
Vitamin C.
Yes, some vitamin C.
How'd I do?
What's the big one? You're close.
B and 12 and K.
A little bit of vitamin K.
Help me out here a little bit. You're
vitamin A. It's really good for your eyes.
I should have said that first.
Yes. You got all the other ones right. Our fruits and vegetables are.
No, it's.
Yep, they all have lots of vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
You'll get a lot from this, which is
We've
really
talked
good for
about healthy fats. Where are we in healthy fats on this?
We have some olive oil in here, but other than that, it's mostly just our squash.
Okay.
Pretty simple. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of milk to this. Now you could add whole milk, you could add almond milk, whatever you like, but I'm going to do just a little bit less than 1/4 cup.
Is that for nutrition or for consistency or both?
A little bit of both. I'd say it's more for consistency.
Okay.
And I'm going to add a little bit of, this is a salt pepper mix. It has a little bit of paprika in it.
Oh.
Just to give it a little bit of something extra. So a lot of people are really intimidated by spices. They're not sure quite how to blend them together, what works.
Right.
So I like the pre-mixed spices for those of us who get a little bit intimidated. And that's one of my favorites. So I'm just going to blend this again for about another minute.
Can take us. Oh, yes. right.
Looks pretty nice.
So what's that consistency? What would you call that?
So I would
Just
say
a good puree?
Yep, a good puree. You could
Okay.
add more or less liquid if you want. I tend to
Right.
like a thicker sauce.
Okay.
Give it a little bit more fullness, but that's just my preference, so
Yep.
it's completely up to you. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add that on top of our pasta here. We're gonna reuse our spoon.
Move that here out of the way
Add a little
so
bit.
people can see this.
Okay,
Need some help? You got it?
I think we got it. So what's really nice about this is I didn't show any protein here, but you could certainly add some chicken, some bacon would be really nice with a combination like this.
Okay.
And then you've got a complete meal because your vegetable is hidden in your sauce.
I noticed you brought this also. You want to tell them what kind of
Yes.
pasta that is?
Absolutely. So there's lots of different types of pasta out there. You can go with your traditional. I always recommend if you're going to use a traditional pasta to go with a whole wheat or a whole grain pasta because it has more fiber in it. So it's going to keep you fuller for a longer period of time, which is important at the holidays especially. It also keeps your GI system well regulated. Again, important
What's
at the
to
holidays.
complain about?
Exactly.
All right.
But if you want to go a different route with your pasta, you could do a gluten-free pasta. And I thought I would just give this one a try. It's a pasta made out of egg. So it's an egg fettuccine pasta. It's low, pretty low in calories and very, very easy to make.
All right.
And I recommend a fresh pasta for something like this just because it's a little bit more natural tasting. It's got a little bit of a lightness to it,
Okay.
which I tend to like. And this you can find usually in the cold section as well, where you can find your hummus or your dips at the
Okay.
grocery store.
I noticed this has Trader Joe on it. They seem to specialize in these kinds of
Yes.
ingredients.
I
All right.
love them for these kinds of different ingredients.
All right. So, and what's the name of this?
So this is we'll call it a butternut squash Alfredo almost. It's missing the cheese, but it's definitely healthier.
Could it be butternut squash Al Madison?
Sure. Hey, I
Because
like
you're
that.
the author?
Let's keep that. I like it.
All right. Well,
Want to give
so-
it a try?
Sure, of course. I don't know. I
Kind of dig in here and taste that sauce.
got to get some
I know. Get some of
fettuccine,
that
some
pasta
egg
in there.
gluten-free fettuccine. All right. Whoops. Got to get the right proportion. All
What's
right.
nice about this sauce is butternut squash, kind of like pumpkin, has a sweetness to it. So it's really kind of different. The flavors matching together. You've got your garlic, your onion, and then in combination with the sweetness from that squash, it's really delightful.
You know what I found in doing this? I always need a second bite.
Hey, there you go. I'm glad that you like it.
I like it. I mean, of course, it's good, but this gives me an excuse to have another
Of course.
forkful.
Of
This
course.
is very good. This is very healthy,
Yes.
but it's got those good spices in it. I see what you.
Yep, and you could always add more salt, more pepper
Whoops.
to your liking if you prefer. But it's a really, really nice
There.
dish for the fall time that I think a lot of people will really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy, especially adding a chicken or some kind of meat with it too. But thank you so much for having me. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate being here again to make something else for you to taste. You're always my best taste tester.
I'm really a lucky person, but that's good. Well, we're back, and we're talking today with Sarah Papa, and as I've said earlier, she is the coordinator for the Northern Virginia Fall Prevention Alliance and an assistant visiting professor at Marymount University. We talked previously about the origins and the nature of the problem, but now we want to get a little bit into how does this program work? What does it do? So, Sarah, there's a large problem. Marymount addressed it. They formed the alliance. You've got a bunch of partners that you work with on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. What exactly does the alliance do? When you get up in the morning and say, I'm going to do something useful about falls, what's your first, beyond a careful first step, of course?
Right, of course.
Yes.
Well, the good news about falls prevention is falls are largely preventable.
Okay.
So the big thing that's happening at Marymount and in conjunction with our partners is Marymount has formed what we call the Regional Training Office. Okay. And at the Regional Training Office, we have 2 master trainers who are trained in 2 evidence-based falls prevention programs. One is called A Matter of Balance, and the other one is called SAIL. And these are 2 programs that we've trained over 300 leaders in. And so those leaders are now out in the community at local senior centers, churches, area agencies on aging, parks and recreation facilities, and they're implementing the programs. And in our first 2 years, we had over 1,500 older adults go through the programs.
So you've got this cadre of trained people. Do they run their own schedule, work through their own organizations, or is that centrally organized out of your office?
It really depends. Some we organize some of those programs. Other programs are running on their own. And really, our goal is to have these programs be embedded into the senior centers and into the facilities. So our goal is to get trained leaders into these various community venues and have them sort of take off on their own and manage the programs on their own.
So let's use an example, Goodwin House you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, do you have a single person there that is a resident, or is that a person that visits there and says, on next Wednesday, I'm going to be running a session, come down to the dining hall? Or how does
it really
work?
varies. It varies from site to site.
Okay.
At some of our locations, they're paid staff who have gone through the training and are running the programs. Other facilities are using senior volunteers who want to teach the classes, so they came to the training and they're now running the programs themselves. So it really just depends on the facility.
What have you found is the level of awareness of this among the senior population and then caregivers, family, friends? Mm-hmm. Do they recognize the extent of falls and therefore fall prevention?
People do seem to be generally aware that falls are an issue for older adults. They're not so sure about what they can do to help prevent falls. And so that's really where Marymount and this project and the Alliance come into play in letting people know that falls are largely preventable and there are things you can do.
If I were to come to one of you've organized a session and I came, what would I learn there? What kind of things do you...
It depends on the program, but the most important thing that happens at both programs that we are currently offering are their strength and balance exercises and training that go on, because we know that regular exercise, walking, and strength and balance are very key to improving your risk.
Okay. And so I would pick up suggestions, ideas, whatever. Is there any follow-up on that, or any way to, if I have a question or want to attend another session, or maybe I think, gee, I ought to take that to my church, and that's a really great program?
Anyone can reach out to us at any time, and we can work with them to try to set up a program somewhere. The SAIL program, which is sort of more like a traditional aerobics class.
Okay.
And that is a program that runs back to back over and over again, and people can take that over and over again. So we have some facilities that are running it like that, and people just sign up for the next session and they just continue on with the program.
You used the term a couple times, evidence-based. What does that mean? So
evidence-based programs are programs that have been researched and have been proven through that research to be effective. And so the programs that we offer are considered evidence-based, which means they've been researched, they've been able to be replicated at different locations with different groups of people, and they still show the same results. And that is either increased strength and balance, reduced risk of falling, reduced fear of falling, things like that. So they've all been proven.
You might have a questionnaire that says a before and after attitude or level of knowledge. You may have physical measures.
That's right.
And
we do.
You can do, 50 push-ups instead of 60 or something.
Right,
No,
right. And both programs do have a pre and a post test.
Okay. And evidence-based means that it's not just fanciful or
That's
whatever. It's well documented.
That's
Why is
right.
that important?
Well, we feel like if we're going to be out there promoting these programs, we want to make sure that people know that it's going to work.
Okay.
We want people to have faith in the program, that they are going to see some improvement and they are going to see the results that these programs have promised.
What limits have you encountered? I mean, you've got this network, and you put the word out across the network, and hopefully you've reached a lot of people. But if you had additional resources or imagination or time, what else would you like to do to get the message out?
At this point, we're always looking for people who are interested in becoming trained as leaders, and we're always looking for more sites to start new programs. Because again, a big goal of this is to get programs out and accessible to every senior in the region.
What does training consist of?
The trainings are, the training for the SAIL program is about a half-a-day training, and the training for A Matter of Balance is 1 day. And on our website, there's information about upcoming trainings.
And do you have enough trainers, or can you always use more?
We can always use
more. That
more.
might be an opportunity for seniors or
Absolutely.
anybody else for that matter.
We are always looking for more trainers.
Is there a cost of either of the information programs or the training sessions themselves?
The training sessions have a small cost, really just to cover the cost of the training materials, under $100 each.
Okay.
The programs themselves, it varies, again, depending on the location. Some locations, for example, at most senior centers, it's just considered part of being a member of that senior center. You do not have to pay extra to attend the class. But some of our sites do charge for the program, so it really just depends.
Do you run information programs? Like you can retrofit your house with the idea to safety. How you conduct yourself out on the street. Do you have that kind of program
We
as well?
offer just a general falls prevention presentations and lectures that we go out to a wide variety of locations, and we can give that type of information. But you're right, home modifications and things like just looking around your house for things that might cause a fall are very important. We also emphasize things like checking your medications, talking with your family and your healthcare providers, vision, just getting your vision checked, because that can be a risk for falls.
Okay, and then we're going to run out of time soon, but and I do want to underline, you will be at the speaker series on November 2nd, and there will be a panel there of others that can talk about physical fitness or health and safety. Well, that's very, very good to know. As I started out, to me, it was an under-recognized problem, and I don't. I guess a question: have you found that other people are not? They're aware personally, but they are aware of the scope of it.
Yeah, when we share the statistics, and especially when we throw out the healthcare dollars that are spent on falls and falls-related injuries, people are usually taken aback by that.
Well, it's a big problem that you're taking a step towards solving it, and I would urge folks to come to your session on November 2nd and ask questions, learn more about it. So, well, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you kind of shedding some light on this for us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.